Hi everybody, welcome to Materia D&D, where we play D&D our way, and we are on session 167. Last week we punted the session just due to real life stuff. This week we're going to be down a couple players. Going forward, we'll be down Ben for a while because of real life. But also we got the holiday season, so we might be taking a break here fairly soon, picking up at least with mainline story until after New Year's in the year 2024. But anyways, so we're picking up with where the Crass Menagerie left off. They're over at the ruined temples within the jungles of the open plains. Uh, this ruins, based on what they've been told by the Heralds of Exploration, as well as a um, deceased dragonborn who was betrayed and killed long ago. These ruins seem to have some sort of correlation or tie-in to the origins of mortal life on Materia. Uh, the um, Not sure too much what else has been uncovered or discovered because the time here has been fairly brief for the Crass Menagerie. They managed to navigate the jungles and arrive here. They are to assist Pulam, 14, and Opal to get Victor and this crew out. However, in that morning of the day that they were supposed to start assisting with the extraction, two of the explorers were missing. However, there was a good assumption that they knew that some of their allies knew where they were, and they had fallen into a collapsed area of the ruins. Their strange cold sensation was taking over, and as they were trying to get one of the two that fell and was knocked unconscious and bleeding uh, out, it seemed that the other one uh, had other ideas that were not necessarily his own, as they seemed to have been possessed by a entity. The menagerie quickly, well, not quickly, but eventually found out that it was the spiteful, vengeful soul of this dragonborn guide that came here 100 or so years ago, escorting some sort of mage uh, through these ruins to try to find out some secrets, and then at the end, they were betrayed. Uh, as a result, due to the spirit's malice, it did take over Karos, and the group had to deal with what they referred to as Cryos. Um, but eventually they did succeed, and they managed to expel the hostile spirit from Karos and question it later. That's when they found out that, yes, more than 100 years ago, this individual escorted a wizardly type through this area. They were hired because they were some of the best at what they did, but ultimately they were betrayed and left to die down here. Uh, the the area that the Crest Menagerie find themselves in, um, a large portion of the wall seemingly was erupted or blasted down, almost as if some sort of explosion had happened. Uh, as to why is uncertain at this time, but it's it leaves them questioning, at least if I recall last time, whether it's worth trying to investigate this area or just to continue with the original extraction. I think that's relatively it. Um, no one was too hurt because you guys were not necessarily trying to kill Karos while he was possessed. But yeah, it's still relatively morning. Um, I believe you guys are down at the bottom of the collapsed area.
Yep.
Um, and you had just got done questioning the uh, the the body, the remnant memories
Did
of
we get a name?
this.
I don't know if we did.
You
I don't
did
know if
not.
we asked
You
a
did not.
name.
You did not ask a name.
And we're out of questions, or I forget.
You are out of questions.
Okay.
Yes. Um, you know that the name was Rocket Galus as far as who he was escorting,
Right.
but that's about it. Part of the other things. Wizardly type, whatever other answers I gave you.
Has anybody given him like a once over looking for effects of his? I don't know if
Not
anybody
that I'm
has.
aware of. Mm-mm. I know that Al, I think it was Al, when he was originally knocked down here, he stepped on the corpse and caved in his chest and or stepped through his spine and stuff. But he had a tabard indicating his affiliation.
Right.
Tabard?
Not that
Like the
Dabber.
magic
Yes.
salesman?
Yeah,
Oh,
only. Which is actually bothering me. Where did I put his
Forgotten take is what I
affiliation?
have.
Yeah, forgotten take. I just noticed that it's like not actually. Oh, it's just not bolded. That's why I don't see it. I forgot to bold it in my notes. Conventions are important, so the eyes see things. All right. So, what would the Crash Menagerie like to do?
I mean, so Davis was helping the injured guy, Sam, I think it was. Is that right?
Yeah, I think Sam was the one that was injured.
Back,
Bart was the
and
one
then
that was best.
handed it off to. Gosh, now I gotta go back to my notes. Whoever it was that arranged Victor, I think. I was like, Victor,
Yeah,
get
it's Victor.
get them back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go check on them, see how they're doing.
I guess you're gonna take the time to climb your way back out. All right. So it takes 10 minutes later. You're in the what's remaining of the centralized camp, essentially, as you know, it has been going through the process of shutting down, um, getting packed up and ready for leaving. Uh, in a quick glance, you do see that just from your knowledge of travel and making frequent stops in different locations, everything is not going with them. Things will be left here. Obviously, the wooden scaffolding and rigging that they have set up to be able to navigate more easily and get up to like the ceiling and higher portions of the walls here at the temple are remaining. They're not tearing that stuff down. But then as you do emerge back out from this area, you relatively easily, because there's not much left um, on the surface, track down uh, Bart and Sam, as Bart did also make it out here. Uh, Sam has a severe concussion, uh, big nasty gash over his head. That's why he was bleeding so much, and a broken ankle, probably due to the fall. But yeah, you catch up. You see them getting some sort of treatment by one of the individuals that looks to be here. That was their role here, to be like a medical
Yeah.
um, advisor, and so
Okay.
they will be slow. uh,
um,
this little diagram because we're not using it anymore. Boop, boop, boop. And Al is no longer Apagretto, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. I'm back to normal.
Not sure.
Yeah, he had to use the mask, I
just
think.
Oh yes, that's right. That's true. That's
Right.
true. That's true.
Or did I? Did I
It
have to
was on
transform
you,
back
so I,
to the
I
mask?
think it was part of your ape form. I don't think you could have used it without
Hmm.
dismissing it.
No.
you
Fair.
know, when you're an ape, you can really tell that you brush your teeth at night.
Take good care of yourself, Al. That's a
Yeah, it's respectable.
just kind of waiting. Um, you know, I guess I think Ben is also up on the surface. You do spot him, Davis. Um,
I figured it might be.
yeah, they'll. He's just going to be assisting where he can, um, packing things up, making sure there's a head count. He's just essentially when they ask him to do something, he's assisting, and he's um, you can tell his armor is likely stored away in his shield. You just see him as this live swimmer style body, just being as useful as he can be. Uh, and there's a collection of different individuals here. There's probably a group of about 2 dozen in total, not including yourself and not including Pew and the crew.
Pew
All
crew.
various individuals. Pew crew, yeah. You do see the ashen-skinned dwarf, the Dorgar. You see there's humans, half elves. There's some Khemri. Some of the feather folk are here. It's a very diverse crew here.
Wow.
Um,
Virtual menagerie of their own.
you know,
Huh.
uh,
Don't get
seemingly,
any ideas, guys. The name's taken.
yeah.
They can have the name.
What?
I'm stealing what's in their pockets, though.
He's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The name is worth
Carl,
more than everything in everybody's pockets.
Carl should say branding is important.
Yep.
It's all about the brand.
Yep.
So,
Name recognition. That's how you get places. Yeah, I would keep an eye out for Pulam or it's 14, I think, right, as well.
yeah.
And who's the one that was trying to talk to Rock
Opal.
forever? Opal, that's the one.
Oh, yeah, Opal. So, they're not too difficult to spot.
Oh, okay.
People are not wandering very far as they're just essentially gathering things and securing things for travel and transport in like essentially now you come to understand is essentially like the top of a ruins that goes downwards. Like right,
Yeah.
you came up some sets of stairs, but there's additional
So
ones
it's
that
like
go
ziggurat
down
style
in.
kind of ish.
Yeah, if we were to say ziggurat, like a pyramid ziggurat is a type of structure. It's a shape. It's a very stable. So you find them.
Right.
You would you would find them kind of readily available or readily used for older constructions. Um, So yeah, like the only one that you're not spotting right now is 14.
Okay.
But you do see Pew Lamb, you see Opal just doing what they're
I
supposed to be
just
doing.
sort of hail whoever I could find, like whichever one over, and just be like, hey,
we progressively get louder when we could just start doing.
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, so you'll get with Pew and
Yeah.
uh,
Find a little private
seems like
space. Like, you got a
good
minute?
job.
Just. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we were just checking it.
good
It
job
looks like
fighting.
everybody's accounted for. Uh, I think he'll be fine. Just
Yeah,
it'll take a little time.
yeah, he's just gonna be someone we have to carry. But uh,
Yeah.
you need a minute,
Yeah,
sure.
just to kind of talk about what we noticed, what we saw when we went to go help them out.
That's why they
He'll
give you strong backs.
Mm. And he'll walk with you to like this heavily vine covered, being mostly reclaimed by nature, like archway. Um, you just kind of turn and you have a column between you and him and the rest of everyone else. It's not like super far away,
Yeah, yeah. Like
but
hush tones should
yeah,
be mostly private.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So not like I'm not like whispering or anything, but just kind of like so. Uh, and then I'll describe that like big blasted out area, and say, we also ran into a little bit of resistance. There was a spirit of some kind down there that was uh, basically inhabiting people. Well, in Karos for one. But we managed to get rid of it, and found a corpse down there. I mean, I think there were a few, but we found one in particular that seemed to be interesting, and then I'll just basically relay what we learned from that, saying, da, 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 but I don't know. I don't actually recall if we told him about the Hendecolite at all. Do you remember if
Nope,
we told him?
not
Okay.
that I recall. You've told him about
I'll say
going.
I'll tell him the name that the guy gave us. I'll say, yeah, he's a Rocket Galus. Does that ring a bell? He was apparently. I mean, this was some time ago. I think he said like 120 years ago or more. Based on what we told him. But yeah, does that ring a bell with you? Because he said he was betrayed by him.
Galus sounds a little familiar. Don't know why, but like, I mean, I've heard of the cult of the Hendecolite. Is that what we're talking about now?
So is he bringing up the cult of the Nicolite?
You said you brought up the Hendecolite, right?
Oh no,
Or I
I was
just,
asking if I had, but that's fine. It can also
no,
just
no.
come up naturally. That's fine too. But like,
Okay.
yeah, that I think Galus is, thinks himself the Hendecolite, like if it's the leader of this group.
I mean, I don't know much, but they were just a failed following, some sort of failed up and coming cult after the I think it's around the time after the Black War it started to crop up, maybe about 50 years afterwards. And
But you think it's failed? It's just
I haven't, I don't know much about it, but I haven't heard much of it. I just recognize kind of the name and probably came across it, some sort of obscure library while we were searching something else.
Do you have any idea why they
Just
would be interested in a place like this?
I would have to know their motivations better. Do you got any ideas what they would, what was
Yeah,
I just know that
kind of.
I know that I just know that he apparently it was kind of a group
Okay.
that ended up following. So I guess he was the Hentai. I don't know. I just remember that either that was him or they were called the Hentai. I don't know. But
Yep.
that individuals that during the time of caution that had magic and were able to either bend nature or arcane or use the primal forces. There was this whole stigma and fear of them, and I think this group was essentially those rejects and those rebels, those people that didn't want to stay quiet.
So I got my totem on wisdom today. So with a passive insight of 21, I'm assuming I'm not picking up anything, or it's like he's purposely guarding anything.
Uh, no, not with the 21. No, he's
Okay.
just he doesn't know. He's like trying to.
Gotcha.
You see, he's trying to pick his drunkard memory banks.
Right. Right. Right.
He's like,
But yeah, I
but
figured he's mastered. He's still his memory's still mostly intact, even though that's his deal. But like
yeah,
he's sort of learned how to work with that.
yeah, but like he's genuinely like digging into his memory,
Gotcha.
and it seems like he has come across it, but just not like with purpose. He's
Right.
just heard the name
Just as a
before.
curiosity, not like
What
a
is this? Okay, this was a group that ended up forming, being following the leadership of someone, and it was a a collection of people seeking refuge as well as misfits and unsavories and people that had no ill intent but were just persecuted because they were able to use magic after
right.
1,000 years where so,
So I,
any
to be
more
honest with
I
you, I was being a little cagey with you here. We know a fair amount about this group because before well, actually, when we went over to the northwest dig site, uh,
Mhm.
there was essentially a portal to this. I don't remember what they call it, like a demi-plane or something, like a little pocket place where you can
Sorry.
go.
Yeah.
That they put together. They built up, and uh, this Galus, Rocket Galus. Also, I don't want to give him the name Irion Thule. There was another name. Let me look at my notes. There was another Galus name.
Zygmunt
Zygmunt. Yeah,
Galus?
Zygmunt Galus. Yeah, Rocket Zygmunt. I think is his another name or his real name. I don't know what his actual name is, but this Zygmunt Galus apparently figured out some way to build this big construct with part of himself in it that was kind of guarding this little pocket place that we went to. And
What do you
yeah,
mean with a part of him? Like he
yeah, I think it was basically like him at the point in time that he created it. It was like his personality, his knowledge, but like then it was like disconnected from his actual self. It's weird
they
to
put
me. I don't
his
fully get it.
so it like was a mirror of his consciousness or something?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what some of the other smarter folks who were talking about it were talking about. That sounds about right. Actually, and at this point, I'll kind of look around and see if I see like any of like Owl or Rock or Karos like kind of nearby to.
Up to you. I mean, they can all. I mean, I assume everyone has made it is at the surface and just kind of assisting. So anyone that wants to be a part of this, you can drag them in, or they can just join.
Mm-hmm.
As it's, I mean, we could check with Opal. Opal's
Oh, okay.
all about things that are
Yeah, maybe we just
recorded
get everybody
and
together and kind of chat because I think it's maybe I don't think it necessarily means we need to stop what we're doing. I think we should kind of plan to proceed as planned. Uh,
the priority is getting these people home
yes, I agree.
and everything they've uncovered.
That's the
And
secondary priority to me. So yeah, let's. But if we could just take a beat to get, you, Opal, and us, and then whoever else you see necessary, we'll kind of gather up and uh, let's just chat about what we discovered and what we've learned in the past week or so.
all
Sound
right,
good?
yeah, let me
Back, so meet somewhere in like 5 minutes or something. What do you got?
let me
Where's
let Victor know that we're gonna go on a one last perimeter walk,
perfect.
and
I'll let my guys know.
all right, and then
You don't have to let me know. I'm right here.
Oh shit! God damn, that's always so jarring. Thank you, Zayla.
Yep.
It's jarring in a good way.
yeah,
Like I can always kind of count on you there, but I also don't really ever know for sure if you're there.
It's like one of those things. You don't know what I'm hearing.
Nope.
I hear everything.
Good. I think. Well,
Mr. Eavesdropper. of some
Well,
sort.
I such long ears and all.
true.
I wasn't going to make assumptions, but makes sense. All right, yes. See you in about 5 or 10 minutes. Meet us at the base of the left staircase leading towards the running water.
Okay.
I'll at least get Opal and we'll see if we can get in touch with 14.
Okay.
Let me let Victor know that we're just gonna do some perimeters.
Surely.
Cielo,
Uh,
you want to help me
Um,
get the rest? I think they're not too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Gathering the menagerie. You see Victor speak with the half-elven uh, Victor. He nods his head. You can pretty easily, without even needing, oh, good idea. Um, and Humat gets Opal, who is just assuring that all the documents and paperwork and everything are neatly and safely secured and packed, stored. Because as you guys know, she values written stuff very highly.
Yeah.
And within the 5 minutes or so, you guys meet the soft running of the trickling water uh, down the left-hand side of the temple, and you guys begin to just continue walking. And as you guys start, it's no 14 yet.
Okay.
Pew says, all right, so what do we need to know? What do we need to talk about? What do we need to discuss? And we'll cross with 14 soon enough, I'm sure.
Okay.
She's around.
Yeah, so I would mostly just, at first, just basically for Opal's benefit, recount exactly what I told Pulam. But then,
Okay.
once that started, I would start to look for someone who's a little more brighter than I am to sort of describe what we saw in like the Hindeklet area when we went into that place. It could be Karos, could be anybody.
Anybody
Probably
want
not
to?
Ben.
Or
Let's make Karos do it. Hey, Karos.
That's fine.
all right, Kara's giving a decent rundown of
Yeah.
at least the experience of solving the puzzle,
Right. Had the teleportation
traveling
gone
through the
wrong?
fall, yeah, and getting into this sculpted dimension, running
Breaking
into the
the
sculpted,
golem guy or the construct guy.
yeah,
How there's helpers and
say,
like army of bees ready to go, warrior bees.
yeah, well, yeah, he said there seem to be three casts of constructs just waiting for orders, most of them in a dormant state. Um, so Opal will say, well, no, that doesn't make sense. They were just this small nothing. It's just a gathering of people that wanted refuge and stuff. I don't.
I mean, we
They
started
had
from
an
a
entire
small, pretty
dimension.
nothing, and look at us.
No, I get that, but like, I just figured the guy, this Rocket Galus, just happened to somehow find out, learn the name of the Black Mage. They were just a fan. That's all that I ever thought. I think that's all that was ever written. It was a. I mean, the name Zygmunt Galus isn't really recorded in history very much based on the requests of Zygmunt.
Well,
Very few people actually realize that that's who the Black Mage's name was. But that is his name. That is his name.
I mean, could
Like
it
if he
be
was a demon
because he
that
wanted
named
to?
his name, that would be his name.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
that's one of those things. Like, we're not supposed to know their name, right?
No, few people know. I only know it because heck, it's one of the things I like to study: the occult and forgotten and the mysterious.
Well,
The
is this
Hendecolate
one of
was.
those types of people? If we know their name, it kind of removes their power,
I
right?
mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. He's immortal from what a mortal, not immortal, a mortal from what I know. So that doesn't seem that stereotypical rule of summoning doesn't seem to apply
Huh.
if we're gonna go down that rabbit hole. She smiles when she says rabbit
I
hole.
was gonna say,
Uh,
pun intended.
I'm glad you said it.
like, no, like, guys, like, I'm sorry, but like, what you're telling me is that it's like a city militia that rose up to somehow create an entire, I don't know, nation and castle. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, so
Like,
you
how can
said that he
something?
didn't want to be in recorded history. Could it be just because he wanted to keep a lot of his other dealings secret?
I mean, I would say yes. That seems like everyone that eventually gets to some sort of status and hierarchy when it comes to magical influence and being able to manipulate others does that. But uh, if we're talking about Zygmunt, he ended the worst events that we know about in a day. The man was powerful, but that, but
Well,
I don't know him in any other way. He did what he did, and then he essentially vanished.
so my main concern. So you're right. He was powerful, right? And like very much so. And
And
he
old.
had
I mean, he would have to.
he had a particular interest in coming here and doing something. And then I'll also remind of like the blast that we saw down there. Like maybe he saw something down there that he wanted to keep for himself and didn't want anybody else to discover, and so he destroyed it or attempted to destroy it. I don't know. So maybe he learned something down there and kept it for himself, and maybe that's how he was able to do what he was able to do. All I know is that his connection to
Okay.
here is very, convenient, right? Like, or not convenient is not the right word, but it's interesting
No, no,
that we
convenient
keep
makes
running
sense.
into it.
Well, but okay, reversing, not reversing, but just putting a pin in this one and thinking about it. You said something about a key, and you said something about that rock. She looks over a rock. You had a key that indicated you as a successor. How did you get that again?
Found it in on the ground.
So it was misplaced. So
It was bequeathed to us most ceremoniously by the ground.
but
Yeah, what he
so
said.
but okay, so this is why I'm trying to understand, because again, I'm not an expert on this Bolton and Decolate or whatever, but again, just dabbles. But if that thing is that important that a construct that is a reflection of the memories and thoughts of who we are assuming is the Black Mage that ended the Black War, recognize that artifact. That means that artifact was very important, but for it to just be lost and later found mean that either the individual that was meant to have it met some sort of, I mean, I can't make it sure, but either had it forcefully taken from them, failed to keep it secure, or something worse happened. Because why would someone give up something so significant in such a closed circle of power? If that allowed you to interface directly with the memories of that construct, again, access to an entire dimensional plane that was set up by this individual, essentially as if you owned it, from what I understand, that is more valuable than most things that I'm aware of. If we're talking about, again, that Zygmunt made it. So we could we could speculate, we could think about things, but I don't understand why, if uh, maybe this is where my brain is failing, but if Zygmunt was so powerful and he ended something, and you're saying that he was the Hendecolite, or he had affiliations with this, then why wasn't the cult of the Hendecolite anything? Like, why isn't it still around? Why isn't it
I mean, it
something that
kind
a
of
common
is,
name?
right?
Why isn't?
We found a spot that they're still doing stuff at.
But was it active? Like that's what I'm trying to
Not
understand.
really, I guess. I mean, there was
Like
the
I
one
don't.
construct there, and then a couple of like little helper things, but yeah.
Carlos corrects you. He's like thousands of helper things.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. I forgot.
but 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 see, that's what I'm saying. Like if it was established 200 years ago and it still had a footprint 100 years later, that's fine, and you would expect it to continue if it was backed by something so prominent, by someone so prominent. So I'm having a hard time. It doesn't add up to me. I'm sorry if it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't add up to me that this cult of the Hendecolate is something that the Black Mage was affiliated with. It might be something that a fan
Hmm,
or someone that found out what he was
like
and
a
then
pretender?
pretender, imposter.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe that's why they use a different name. I mean, aliases and such are, pretty commonplace amongst individuals that don't want that have dealings across different continents and different times. But I mean, I I, I don't know what you expect to do. I can try to assist with digging up some information, but again, I'm just going off of a hunch. And that blast that you mentioned down there, if it really is the result of someone getting betrayed, and it was you got a name Rocket. This Rocket individual may have been a want-to-be
Maybe.
Zygmunt if he took the name.
I'll bring up the
And
name Irion Thul as well. Now, like we've heard this is another alternate name. Does that name mean anything? Could that be the pretender, maybe, and Zygmunt's the real one, and Irion Thul is taking up the mantle of
I don't
Rocket?
know of an Irion. I'm sorry that's
Okay.
another alias or another name that doesn't ring a bell. But I sorry, but I mean I'm okay. I'm down for it if Pew doesn't mind. I'll go down there and take a look at the damage. Maybe we can figure something out. You guys have an easy means of traveling.
True.
And he looks at Al. She looks at Al and is like, I guess Rock too. You guys have master teleportation. They that guys can get back here. I mean, we got at least a few more hours before I think we're making a call if we're leaving for the day or leaving the next day. Packing is a little bit slower than expected.
Well, I just
Uh,
wanted to make sure you were fully aware of all of what we'd seen down there, and if that changed the plan, then so be it. But we're here to help you guys. So
what what's uncovered down here has no bearing, has no weight based on what we're supposed to do. We have to get these people and what they've gathered back safe.
fair.
I mean,
That's what we're doing.
I it's an absolute interest and curiosity to go check out what's down below because maybe it has some greater thing or greater impact on what could be, but it's how do you want to put it? It's like you take a fish from a pond and all they know is the pond is their entire world, right? You take it from there and you throw it in the ocean. Now everything's so much bigger. Do you really want to know what's out there? Do you really want to know, like, do you just want to be a happy fish swimming in a pond, or do you want to take that leap and go into the ocean? I'm cool with going to the ocean. I'm actually excited to go to the ocean,
It's pretty cool.
but we have to have our priorities. I can give you 2 hours, maybe 3 hours while we're, you know, I can. I mean, Victor's not going to question anything,
Okay.
so maybe I can figure something out. Maybe you guys can help me figure something out. I'm
Yeah, if
curious
you
as
want
to
to go
why.
look,
I mean,
I'll take you down there. It's no problem.
all right. And you were saying that you guys were like Karos was like possessed.
Yeah, that's the word possessed. I couldn't think of it earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Cool. Uh. Do I have anything to ward off? Um.
I don't know that it's still around. Maybe I don't know how these things really work. So
Well, better safe than sorry.
true.
Uh. Most. Okay. Let me roll for her real quick.
Actually,
See
does
what she
Ben?
does.
I'm looking.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily an expert on the nuances of possession, but let's just stick together, try not to touch anything we're not supposed to touch, and if someone starts acting funny, we just restrain them, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would imagine that your friend Ben, just based on his devotion, probably has an innate resistance to being overcome by such influences.
I think so. I'm not sure. I'll
He
take
does.
your word for
He
it.
does.
Okay, yeah.
He does. He's got resist. He's got advantage on saving throws against possession.
So, okay.
Cleric feature that we
Oh, it's a
added.
cleric. I was wondering
Um,
if it was a Githyanki thing or a cleric thing.
mm, Cleric thing. Okay. I mean, if anything, I'm kind of excited because I get to go down and take some more look around this awesome place. It's, I mean, the architecture and the swellings are beautiful. So hey, I'm down.
It's kind of messed up
Um,
down there, but you can see what you find out.
let's see what we find out. Um, since all of you have such high freaking perception, um, as you guys
Yeah.
begin to kind of walk back, you hear some rustling up above, very faintly, and then you just see the insectoid antennas leaning over, and 14 just kind of waving at y'all from up high on a tree. She's been listening in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, hello.
She smiles, and you hear telepathically, "Hello. Am I going with you, or am I still on patrol?"
I would rather you come with, but I mean, that's just
Okay.
me.
Hey, we're working on this together. Very well. Uh, Pew. And Pew nods and gives her permission. Then she leaps down, lands next to you guys. All right. And she grabs Opal and picks her up and puts her like on her shoulder, and then just begins to walk at a brisk pace, knowing where to go. Opal just
Underground.
enjoys the ride. Yes. And this is your choice. Is everyone going, or are some people staying up top to help, like with Karos and Ben?
I'll specifically ask
It's
Carlos, be like, you okay to go back down there? Sure. He goes down. I just rolled.
That's fine.
Let's see what he does.
Yeah. He's like, that was weird, but I mean,
I think I'm alright.
if it happens to one of y'all, I'd like to get a little bit of payback. So, yeah, I'm
I
going.
see how it is. Okay.
You know. So, uh, Ben will bamf his armor out and start putting it on. Like,
Does he take
in
the full
case.
5 minutes or whatever to don it?
Yeah, once you guys get towards the precipice to drop down,
Okay.
he'll walk with you guys, and then he'll take his shield and he'll look over. And he's like, actually, when you guys get down, he'll bamf his armor out just in case something happens and start putting it on.
Do we want to take the time for me to
Bond?
make? I cannot.
Demonic.
Was that your?
Oh yeah, telepathic bond. Should we set that up?
Sure.
We
No.
yeah. Well,
Always
while
helpful.
people are getting armor on, I'll we'll need an extra 5 minutes for me to take care of that.
Vicky.
I like it. I'm sure Ben will
Alright,
very much
so
appreciate it.
with that, as you guys make it and make your way back down, you see, for you guys now, it's familiar pathing. There are no other heralds or anyone out this far within the temple. You can still see the trickles and dribbles of blood from taking the injured Sam, and also just from some of the encounter with Karos or Cryos. Um, so fresh within the collapsed chambers. Y'all squeeze your way through, get down. Ben starts dawning. The ritual starts being cast, and Opal definitely starts uh, with a light spell, just so there's some more illumination in here, so she can actually see. And she's going to just kind of take a gander. And this chamber that you guys did not fully explore, you questioned the body in, but you had
Right.
some lights in here. It seems to be like one of the more larger rooms. It's probably about 80 feet by 80 feet or so, at least from the part that you can see. And then there's the wall that's just caved in and destroyed. Um, uh, Opal will kind of look at it, see, and she'll just start, spewing off what she knows. Uh, so what's it? When you said that maybe he found something and was trying to cover it up, that certainly could be things, because I mean this place is of interest, as you guys have heard the last couple days, day or so. Seemingly, maybe the origin of us mortals. Supposed to be uh, a historical recording or something of how we came to be. I don't know. It's why they were here studying. Um, there's a lot of speculations that this might be a place to be able to interact with those that have long passed, or be able to find eternal youth, or cheat to death, cure all diseases. I mean, if this is where we all originated from, there could be all the answers we'd ever need from here. Unfortunately, the degree at which this wall has been destroyed is quite significant. As you see that she's kind of looking through it and kind of investigating. That's really good.
Yeah, this guy.
All our bonuses too. She's gonna be like, yeah, I mean, this was essentially dusted. This was uh,
Like that
the
took some effort.
debris and the rubble. That took some effort, or at least some power.
Right.
If it was just an explosion,
So it was no accident.
no, and like there's no large pieces of rubble either. So this was
Someone wanted this cleaned up.
wanted it to be difficult. But what's interesting to me is just trying to visualize the layout in here. I think I think there's more to this room, and I think this is literally just caved in and is blocking our path.
If you
So
want
we
us to start
could.
clearing some, if you start clearing the way, I'm game.
She looks over to Pew. Pew just gives her a nod. Says, "Opal, just if it's of interest and importance, go for it. We can stall him. We can. I mean, I'm sure Victor and his crew will be so upset that they get to spend another night here." AI rolls his eyes. Opal says, "Okay. I
I mean,
mean,
the injured folks could use a little time to recover as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, as long as we
All
think it's
right.
safe, because I mean, we did make some stuff angry on the way, so I'm still a little scared of that.
That's true. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. She takes her book, opens it up to a page. She says, "Well, it's a good thing I always have this guy prepared." And she puts her hand in the middle of the book and she pulls it back. And as you see her pull it back, you see another hand just begin to like emerge from the book. And this hand begins to just grow and swell. You recognize it as Arcane Hand or Bigby's hand. And then she starts moving it, and it's basically like a backhoe. Just starts
Nice.
digging into the dirt and just starts moving it off to the side. Goes fairly quickly. And after about, yeah, actually don't remember how long it lasts.
Piggy's hand.
Yeah, I don't remember if it's a minute or 10 minutes.
It's
I think I don't.
1 minute.
Okay. So after a minute, she definitely starts to excavate enough of like a clearing where you can see that there is more beyond, but it's a minute cast, and the hand can only work as fast as it can work. It will need some assistance and it will need some shoveling, but it does look like you can get to what is covered up beyond. So if anyone has any ideas of how they want to help, they can. But she definitely did uncover that there is more to this chamber, and that the the hunch of it being caved in to keep people out seems to be correct.
I mean, what are we here for if not to go check stuff out like this, huh?
So, to any of like is there any like flat surface walls of the ruin or like cave in?
Yeah, so there's like imagine like there's four walls, right? The three walls that are standing intact and not damaged are well made, old, ancient, but well made, relatively straight, relatively sturdy. Of what was rubbled and ruined inn. Just imagine like 3 floors of just rubble and debris, just all sliding in, caving down, preventing your path to go forward. She's managed to dig enough where like you can start seeing that there's gaps in the rubble and debris that allow you to like kind of see in the darkness. And when she kind of moves her light spell, you can see that it projects in there, kind of illuminating more of a room, but she hasn't breached all the way through. There's not like a little small coral hole or anything. There's just, you need to excavate or move more material to be able to get in.
Or
I don't
magic
have.
it.
I don't have a shovel.
Judging by how much has been excavated, does this seem like it might take more than, I don't know, half an hour manually?
You can give me a an intelligence nature check. Say
Ooh,
nature, yeah, nature works. Why not?
well, that'll depend. Okay. 14. It's a
14.
lot of rock.
That's a lot of rock. You you might be overestimating, or when you think it'll take 30 minutes, it might take an hour, but good progress.
Hmm,
You got Davis and Karos. They're strong.
Yeah.
hmm. It's gonna take a while. What am I gonna do? Like sit here and no. I like the overestimate ideas. Like this can take a long ass time. Hmm, I'm I want to animate objects, but was there much mining material, not utensils, tools nearby?
Um, on your way,
It seemed like that kind of.
yeah, I mean, actually, on your way down here, there was all the scaffoldings and stuff, and there was tools that were stored to be, used when future crews come here. Because it's like, it's not worth the weights to take back. So yeah, there might be some value, in this case, air quotes, valuable tools to use,
Okay, okay.
like
Um.
chisels, picks, hammers.
Oh, so we get all different sizes. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would snap his fingers and make like a quick like 3 minute trip, probably like holding a bunch of stuff to bring back
Okay.
and then cast it.
Okay.
Like that's not quite enough in the area, the immediate area. I want to pick out and get some good ones.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a investigation check to see just how good of what you're looking for you find. And that's actually pretty badass. I kind of like the idea of Al just kind of coming with like, like his arms up against his
Here you
belly,
go.
just kind of holding, like, just barely able to carry everything, just drops chisels and hammers and sledges. And...
Picks.
Mm, is that wait. Screw it. I'm lucky with that.
Oh, that's fine. I
That's what
think you
you
have
have.
them all for
Yeah, I
the
think we
day.
do.
Yeah.
Whoa, boy.
Better.
Big 12.
I think 12. I mean, it's
I'll
a
stick with it.
significant. It's a big enough of a leap.
True.
So yeah, what you thought was going to take you about 3 minutes ends up taking you like 10. You know, because you're trying to find like the perfect. But eventually, you're just like you just kind of decide. All right, I got to go with what I got. So you find a couple really nice, what Al would imagine are really good, nice tools, and then you find some fillers. You're like, okay, well, sure, I'll take this. Sure, I'll take this. I don't even know what this is used for, but it looks sharp.
Looks like it would hurt.
Yeah. So eventually you bring it, you kind of waddle down, and you guys, it's comical watching Al try to climb down with everything because he just ends up just like saying fuck it and just
Yeah.
drops it one layer.
It's fine.
Honestly,
Fine. You keep
it's
doing
it's
you. I got this. I don't need help.
yeah.
Let me do this.
And when yeah. And eventually then you hear the clamor and the clatter of like a dozen different tools just fall down another layer down there, and like Pebble, not Pebble, like turns towards you and just tweet, and then looks at Rock and tweets, and then you make your way down, and then yeah, Al, you compose yourself,
So, dust himself off. Yes, yes.
and then like a conductor start weaving your magic, and then yeah, chisels, picks, tools, mine picks, like every like But what's funny is you also have like a brush. You have like a little dusting brush.
It's like for like archaeology stuff where they're like trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
nice.
Nice.
like you couldn't find enough, so you have just things.
It's very
You have
Al
like
to have like a
tail,
little
yeah,
broom to clean up the rebel as we go.
Yeah.
and
Oh.
you have like a little pail where they would gather the dust and stuff. So it's like four really good. These tools. These tools are gonna use what I need to use, and then just filler. But they're animated, and they start to just like lift up to the air. And I'm assuming you're doing tiny objects, so you have 10
Oh,
tiny
geez.
objects just kind of
Yeah.
like as you're the conductor, just kind of, and they just kind of go in and go ding, ding, and you're basically like making a rhythm and a beat as it starts to help dig out what's going on. And then you have the little pail and the brush kind of picking up all the dust and off the side.
On the note of the no wait no Davis had different kinds of ships. I was gonna say the row rhythm. Davis would have taught that to Al, but I don't think there was many big rowboats like
I mean, we had to
Viking
tender out
warships.
to the boat sometimes when we would park on
Okay.
islands and stuff.
Would you know a rowing rhythm then that you would have taught Al at some point?
I mean, sure.
Go with it.
No, why not?
Okay. I will try and keep a BPM to kind of get that going. Kind
So
of.
give me a
Boom,
performance
boom,
check
boom.
just for fun.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll
Can I
see.
help?
We all dig
Sure.
to the song of Staying Alive.
Just like
Yes!
CPR, you're
It's the
supposed to be
perfect
singing.
BPM.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can get help from Davis.
Nice.
Hooray.
And you'll just see like Pew just kind of look at y'all in like the weirdest way. He's like,
At first, I'm like, I keep switching the tension, whether to match Davis's rhythm or Cars's rhythm, and I keep going back and forth, and it's unsteady. It's like, oh, they don't like polyrhythms, all right. Davis helping, that's advantage.
yes, advantage. So performance with advantage.
Keep an eye on.
I used to have expertise in performance. Oh.
Thank you. Okay.
Alright.
Whew.
Alright. Yeah, no,
27.
those 10 tiny objects work just as fast and efficiently as Bigby's hand. Like, it's
Nice.
impressive. Just, you probably won up Opal here, honestly, like,
I
unintentional.
mean, he did have to like take a 10-minute walk to go get other shit to do it first. Where she just
Best
like
I could
sat down,
find.
opened a book, and was like a minute later, like, there you go.
Yeah, which
I'm,
is quite impressive. But
I imagine Al like eventually closes his eyes and just really starts vibing with it. Kind of loses track of time.
yeah, you definitely
They
do.
disanimate,
And
and
it's
you're
just
still
like,
going. You're just like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, and then, okay, I was just saying something. You do manage to dig out enough of a hole, within the rubble that allows you guys to access the chamber, the remnants of this chamber, what is beyond the pale
So
or
it's
beyond the
not just
wall
like a
pale.
CLO-sized hole. It's
No, it's a you. It's
a Davis and
you
Kara
probably
sized hole.
yes, you
Wow.
probably did like an hour's worth of
Well, I
digging.
guess a rock
And
sized hole.
fit-
Rock's probably like the biggest like profile of any of us, right? With the
he's
shell and everything.
probably yeah, but again, he's not. He's a little bigger, but he's not like a massively larger than y'all.
True.
Well, no, but the shell is not that pliable.
It's true.
Who can limbo better, Rock or Karos?
Oh, easily Karos. Are you
Karos.
kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Remember,
okay.
pliable. The shell.
Pliable. There it is. Pliable. Okay, okay.
Wait,
But yeah,
Rock. Can you touch your knees if you bend down? Or is the shell like in the way?
It's a deep lore moment. I'm ready.
Shell and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
I
want-
try and don't even get close.
Okay. He bends at the waist. It's like,
I
all right,
willfully fail the athletics check.
all right. So, but no, yeah, the chamber begins to illuminate as Opal takes the the staff that she's carrying that has the light spell on it and begins to kind of lean forward and kind of look through it. And you can see that there's still damage on this side because, it was a blast. It damaged a lot. But then once you start looking beyond this room, what is 80 feet, what you thought was 80 by 80 is like 80 by maybe 200 or more. It's very long. It's like a long, thin rectangle, essentially. And there are Um, and there's a lot of the floor looks weird. The floor looks extremely funny. Especially with the light and how it's casting a shadow in here. You just see like this shadow that looks like dozens and dozens of fingers just being like extended, like casting long shadows along the floor. It doesn't really make sense. Opal kind of looks back and says, she looks back and says, 14 with me? And 14 leaps, gets next to her. 14 with one of her hands, or one of her secondary sets of hands, takes the staff with the light and begins to walk forward. And Opal follows behind her, looking around. Pebble swoops in, lands on 14, swoops back to Rock, and you see 14 and Opal begin to walk into the chamber beyond. You guys coming, or are you chickens?
Oh, I'm here. I come. I'm coming.
I'm not a chicken. I'm going too.
Yeah, I'm not a chicken at all.
So, when you guys enter, the light spell doesn't even reach all the way to the end of the room, so you can tell that it is much larger. Um, Ben will go ahead and also add a light spell just to assist with illumination and get some more visibility in here. And as multiple sources of light begin to shine within this chamber that has been sealed for 120 years, uh, um, you do hear like that the whistling of winds as like the pressure and everything has kind of adjusted, and there's like that as the fresh air kind of blows in through here for the first time in such a long time. A lot of like the dust gets kicked up and the shadows begin to like still extend and look funny, but now they're actually with multiple sources of light getting cut down and becoming to look more normal, and the floor still looks odd. Um, as you kind of approach what is this central chamber of this room, like the central portion of this room, um, those finger striations or the finger like projections uh, have um, a very white and brown kind of color to them. They seem to be arranged in various patterns and that, and giving it a glance over, can I get perception checks from everybody?
Sure.
And remember, some of y'all are rolling for 2 characters.
I'll do. Should I do Ben or Karos? Ben's probably harder. I'll do Ben.
Okay, yeah, Ben. Someone else would take care of Karos for the evening. That would be appreciated. Y'all can also multi-Jaeger. Fine.
I can do a little bit for Karis, but I haven't studied his attacks if anything battle happens.
Our perceptions are good. I mean, I don't really need to get anyone else, but just in case you want to be included into the role. You guys are doing
Damn.
well. And yeah, okay,
Karos
so yeah,
24.
and with Cielo's reliable talent and everything. So what's interesting is the floor, it's covered in an arrangement of bones, all various kinds of bones. Um, Small, long, thin, lanky, large, chunky. You know, what you would eventually when you see in like there's bones that belong in a hand, there's bones that belong in the spine, there's ribs and all various kinds of bones, and they're not all humanoid bones either. You definitely see bones of various creatures in here, and it's all arranged out. And but what's weird is like they're being held there. They're being held in place, and as the light is casting down, you see as you step into proximity and you see and your eyes are able to see everything. These bones are being held by twisting roots and vegetation. Uh, and they almost like depict something. Uh, it's kind of hard to make out. If anybody wants to give me a intelligence check, If you're proficient with religion, you can use it. Otherwise, just straight with intelligence check. But anyone can do it. However, because you're all taking this all in at the same time, you can't really help each other. And 18 religion for Opal. Okay. Again, if anybody else wants to, I know Karos would probably roll an intelligence if he's not proficient in religion because he is smarty pants.
23.
23. Okay, very good, very good.
I'll go and roll for Karos. That's a good call. Thank you.
He's a smart one.
Smart boy. Wah, wah.
Womp womp.
Nice.
Hey, 14. That's still not bad. So you said 23, Rock?
Yeah, 20.
Okay. So, um, you would pick up on. It reminds you of pathways and like the first image that you get when you look at part of it is like when you see a shell that's been kind of smashed and you can still kind of see like the spiral inside of it, like a path. And you kind of look at it and you kind of step back and you see as the lights are casting over it and you're ignoring the shadows now and actually seeing it. And it's like a depiction. It's like an attempt to recreate a tangled mess of paths that cross and intersect, that come to dead ends, that lead to nothing, that lead through something. It looks almost like a maze. That on the floor, like the entirety center portion of like this floor is bone and root made into a maze.
I was gonna say we don't have good experience with mazes so far.
Good call.
Um,
I mean, I
I
have
mean,
more. Go ahead.
I'll point that out to everybody when I've noticed.
Yeah, it's
Now that all of you see it, it looks like a
yeah.
depiction of a maze. And Ben can give me another religion check now that he knows what it is, or anyone that's proficient in religion. But you have to be proficient in this one.
Oh wait.
Al,
Al's.
you always count. Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy bard. You spoony bard.
Spooniest. Beep boop 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 boop.
Yeah, Ben's got a good one.
Hell yeah. I've never rolled above a 10 on religion. Never.
Gods. What are they?
Nah, don't get time for
What are
that.
they good for? Yeah. So yeah, when you say that, and Ben having that connection,
and his.
especially with Mort,
Yeah, I was gonna say with his
Yeah.
brother too.
and then recently having a vision of the light of the beacon piercing through the maze and extracting souls out of the maze itself. Yeah, this is a interpretation of the unformed maze. It is where life and death, rot and decay, vibrance, all meet, vegetation and bone. Um, it is intricate. It is large. We're talking, it's a 80 by 200-foot room. The center portion of it is, maybe about, let's say like 60 feet of the center portion of it is just this maze. And we're talking the pathways are as narrow as like your finger, like your pinky, right?
Oh, wow.
They're very small. There are thousands upon thousands of bones. And all of them are being held by very fine roots and other types of vegetation, kind of keeping it in place.
So are the bones like the corridors themselves, or are they forming the corridors like as if they were the walls?
They are the walls.
Okay.
So there are gaps. There are little teeny tiny paths in
okay.
there.
Crazy.
And yes, you see, like it's mind-boggling the amount of effort that would have to come in here. It's like amount of effort that had to come into making something like this. Um, but it is that Ben can confirm based off stories that you guys have said to him and things that you've seen that it's a pretty strong hunch and understanding that okay, this is a depiction of the maze, and we are in a temple that wants to cheat death. Interesting.
I tug next to Al. Say, hey, is this the maze you were talking about?
Um, how to Al it does remind him, besides the fact that it is a maze and that's traumatizing enough. It's the
Huh.
The
We,
maze that you guys were in, Al, remember, it didn't look this way, but you were in a very small portion of said maze, correct? You were in
the
a
library.
almost like a library-like portion of the maze where scribes were coming around and just transferring the life experiences of all the souls that they would interact with down, which in itself is weird. Um, but anyways, go ahead. Please
Mhm.
continue.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this I think I think this is it. Yeah. Now
This
I'll
is it?
mostly be kind of drawn in by it. Kind of, he didn't realize the scope. He had no idea what the scope of it was and size. Like, so he's curious about that, just overthinking that while he's honestly half answering Cielo.
Uh,
I think I start
for,
getting closer to examine it.
yeah, for Ben, um, he'll over the bond. He'll say, "I it the the best way I can explain what I'm seeing is the bones are being almost like bound in place, like kept. Um, and that leads me to um, how do I want to say this? Because he rolled a freaking 18, so it's a good check for him. The well, there's we give things certain names, right? We like the unformed maze, and now we are seeing a maze. Um,
Uh-huh.
in the jungles when we were traveling, we saw influences from the Fae, and we call them the Fae binds. I never gave it much thought as to why the word is binds, but it almost looks like the roots and the vegetation here are binding the bones in place. Is this some sort of how do I say this? Is the is we this temple is for the essence of spirit and the essence of decay. Is it some sort of depiction of like their unity working together? Like the, the vegetation binds the bones in place to make something?
Only one way to find out. This I don't know. I would have a keen sense for that. And I have to know more.
Mhm.
So like is there like I missed an early part if you said there was like an entrance to this maze, I guess. It's like an approximation or a celebration of the maze. Is it
So
like an actual entrance to a maze?
if you were the
Not the
size,
maze, but
like if you were the size of a um like of I don't know what's a good but if you were like the size of a ladybug, then you would be able to navigate this maze. Like the pathways are very small. The pathways are being held by made of bone that are being held up by the vegetation are like the size of like a human pinky, like in width. Like it's very small, and it is sprawling. It takes up 60 plus feet by 60 plus feet. It's massive. There's thousands and thousands of bones, but they're all like super tiny corridors and pathways. And as you're looking at it, you don't necessarily see like an entry point. You do see that there are some areas now that you're kind of looking and you just have such a high perception and investigation and your reliable talent, so I'm just going to give it to you. You do see that there's places where there's like openings where you could like maybe put like a critter in there or something and they could start running around. Like there's like little circular or openings like throughout pox throughout the maze.
It's like a
And then they
mouse cheese test.
yeah, but on like insane, like to an insane degree. Um,
I
but
kind of want to do the maze, but I have nothing. I can't make myself small.
you can't get that yet. As far as you know, you can't get that small. But yeah, so it looks to you, Cielo, like it is a interpretation. Maybe it is reverence to, it could be that it is a way to show one's respect to the maze or something without actually going to the maze.
Yeah. So like totally random and I don't have like increased senses for this, but if
Yeah,
I sniff around, does this smell like this place is greatly attuned to the Feybines?
give me a survival check if you want.
My D&D Beyond is lagging like crazy. Oh my gosh, that was a terrible roll.
You might have
You have reliable
Oh
reliable
my,
talent.
talent.
Yeah.
it is definitely yeah, it is definitely reliable talent. 22.
Um, doesn't smell fey bindy, but you've never seen roots manipulated in such a way, except for the one time that you ventured into the binds itself. Like,
So whatever I'm gonna like kind of pronounce this to like whoever's nearby.
We have the bond too.
Well, yeah, the bond too, but even our friends that aren't,
Okay.
mind wormed in our brains,
that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. Not everyone can get the mind worm. That's correct.
Sorry, I had to drink that water.
Okay.
This place has been touched by somebody that's from the Feybines, but it's not like a portal there. Unfortunately.
What makes you say that?
Well, I I'd be able to tell.
Okay.
As you guys are kind of investigating the maze and looking around, 14 is continuing to just kind of walk the chamber, kind of getting a perimeter. And as some of you catch where she's walking, you see that the walls in here that are not damaged and ruined. Again, continue with this intricate scrawlings and a very high detailed, um, uh, and because all of you rolled so well in perception to begin with, I'll say that you'll begin to notice that the chamber itself almost has like two distinct design elements and styles, and it's almost split halfway. One of them is more like of a flowy and wispy carving style that gives the sense of freedom and joy and a vibrancy to what can be expressed in stone and carving. And there's even, as you know, you're starting to see, there's even color implemented in. There's different dyes, different types of paintings made into the stone, and you're seeing colors, vibrance. You're essentially seeing a spirited expression on one side of the room. and then it kind of gets to the center portion where it starts to mingle and mix and twist with the architectural style. And on the other portion of the room, it's much more sharp and stark and minimalist. Still kind of giving a similar kind of design flow, but very different in its interpretation. Um, it kind of follows like the same pattern. If you were to like look on one side where it's very wispy, and let's say there's like this large swirling kind of arching kind of design element, it's reflected on the other side, but its reflection is very angular, sharp, bleak, minimalist. And then when it follows and it meets the pattern, and then the patterns kind of intertwine to give this expression of like blended. And as your eyes are following and seeing the pattern, there is a further path and a doorway that is open, leading beyond, almost as if like an archway is formed by these two mingling styles. It is beyond the maze. There are ways to walk around the maze on the very far edges, uh, but just to allow you to know there's more. Opal will be like, guys, this is really cool.
I
Uh,
agree.
It's a lot.
it's a lot, and I don't quite get it. I'm
Oh, good.
sure if we told the guys upstairs, they would refuse to leave. So I don't know if we can tell them about this place just yet. We need to get them going. Um, but that I can't even imagine how long that would have taken to put in place. Um, and the whole two sides of the room. Um, anyone get a feeling that this is them saying spirit, decay,
That makes sense.
merger, walk through?
Oh, okay. Now I see what you're saying.
Like, we're welcome to go through because we are the products of
Spirit
maybe.
decay.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I'm making a guess here, but it feels like,
So do you think this is what Galus was looking for?
I mean, he buried it.
True. Well, we
So maybe
assume.
he found something on the other. Okay, we're making assumptions. I'm operating under the
Yeah, it's the most logical thing.
I if you had a dead body tell you that a Galus betrayed him and that there's this giant cave-in with that type of blasting power, I would guess that the guy did it.
Yeah.
I'm not a sleuth or an investigator, but I'm just going to go with my gut here.
Soft and
And my
right.
gut says, yeah. Now, as to what this insane maze means, is it an actual depiction of the actual maze? I would say probably not, because I think that's impossible to do based on what I understand about the maze. But it is really cool. And part of me wants to like touch it, but part of me is afraid that I'll just get taken to the maze or something.
Well, if you're scared of touching it for that, I'm not. I'll do it.
You're crazy. I
Well, I mean, in a way, yeah.
I don't. I'm, I cannot tell you what to do.
None of
And she
us can.
starts stepping back. She just starts stepping.
Well, you don't want to hold my hand while we do it.
No,
Fine.
absolutely not.
Um,
I'll say when we went to the maze, this is not the way it happened.
wait, how did it happen?
Oh man, there's this doorway inside this tower in the deep root, and we had to. There was like a big light that we shone onto it, I think, or something to open. I don't remember. I want to say it was years ago, but it was like like 6, 7 months ago. I don't know.
It was
Feels
at least half a
forever
year
ago.
ago. Yeah.
Davis, that was last Tuesday.
Fuck.
It was at least 6 months ago. Probably it was more than that.
Listen,
But
in
yeah.
non-materia years, it was like 3 years ago.
Yes, it
Right?
was.
Maybe like two and
But
a
I don't.
half or something. But yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you guys are able to um. I mean, there's nothing. There's not like a pane of glass or something covering it. This
Yeah.
maze is fully exposed.
Sneeze guard on it.
So yeah. So like, I mean, it is.
I ain't touching it.
Yeah.
Do it,
14,
Cielo.
you'll see her. She draws her she draws one of her her spear and just starts shoving it through the portal way, the archway, just to make sure nothing happens if she tries to cross the doorway where the two styles meet. Takes it back. Nothing seems to happen. She's just looking back, waiting to see what you guys are doing.
I'm gonna slowly touch it with my
Uh,
pointer finger.
Sure. Anything that you like visualize in your mind, like that would stand out to you within the maze? Is there like a
I've
design element that?
never been there.
No, but I'm saying like of the actual maze that you see. So you're saying bones and roots being twisted and used to like depict a maze. Is there, if you were Cielo, would you be like looking for like um a open space, a very intricate place where it seems to switch back and curve and turn on itself? Are you trying to follow the path and try to imagine yourself navigating it
So
before you touch it?
when I think the maze, and this is a rendition of it, like hard geographical like shapes.
Geographic shapes.
When I think of the maze, I can't separate an MC Escher painting from my head. You know what I
That's
mean?
good.
That's perfectly fine. So
Some stairs that don't make sense.
yeah, that
Hell yeah.
in a way I get that. So you see one of those spots that I mentioned out that seems to be like almost like and I would say it's probably about the circumference of like a tennis ball, like a little part that's opened, and then multiple paths just branch through there. And you kind of see that catches your attention, and then you just kind of put your finger on one of the pathways and just start tracing it. It's close to you because you're not like walking over the maze or into it, it's just along the edge. And you start tracing it. It's nothing seems to happen.
Oh.
Sorry, it's not
I'm
a
sure you're all disappointed that I didn't just get translocated into nothingness,
Oh, you're still here?
right?
yeah.
What?
Ben will just walk up to you and just slap you upside the back of the head. And you know what that means. Like
Yeah.
it's like I can't stop you, but what the hell, man? He doesn't even think
I
anything over
mean,
the phone.
somebody has to touch it.
You just you just get a stare from him like, no.
Okay, nobody had to touch it, but I
Yeah.
leave no stone untouched or whatever.
And he says, it is over the bond, it is bone and root. There is no stone.
Yeah, the roots are a bit questionable though. If you look at them really close, it's like this kind of growth is just unnatural. Well, we've encountered growth that's unnatural before, but
He'll just interject, manipulated.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Like I said, somebody with the touch of, I don't know. At least it
No,
feels like it. It feels like something I would have seen if somebody was like, I don't know, painting a overgrown ruin in their brain. This is kind of what it would look like, you know?
and for once Ben fully agrees. Yes. And that's why we don't touch it, because we don't know what it is.
What if it? Never mind.
No.
You're fine. You're
Anybody,
right. You're right.
anyone doing anything else? Anyone looking through anything? There's still like all the scrawlings on the wall, the different design elements. There's potentially a lot of things hidden here, or you can go through the path. You can go back. You got lots of options. You can destroy the maze if you wanted to. Up to you.
Hmm.
D&D is your oyster.
Ben's like, take that, brother. This is all way too much for Davis, so he's just kind of like watching what everybody else does.
So,
I think once Yellow asked Owl the question about hey, is this the maze or depiction of the maze? I was kind of enamored by that, so he's slowly walking the perimeter, trying to look to see if any piece matches what he experienced,
It's
and
like
he'll
you have
just
a
kind
tiny
of be locked
jigsaw
in that.
piece and you're trying to find it in the entire puzzle.
I have to make a little ring with my fingers, put it in my eye, so I can focus on less,
okay.
like a
Yeah, I
little
get you. I get
finger telescope.
Too much.
you. Investigation check. Go
Oh,
for it.
invest. Hell yeah, 7.
7. You get lost in your own thoughts. You just, yeah, try to make it as small as possible, and eventually you just kind of like frazzle your own brain. You're just like stop moving entirely and just like start focusing on one spot. It just starts to blur all together where
Yeah.
like the lines and the gaps just start to merge together, and you start crossing your own eyes, and you just shake yourself out of it.
So if anybody's watching me, I'm slowly taking steps, and I'll just stand there, and like 2 minutes will pass, and I'll shake out of it, like just I do the same thing like 3 times.
That's fine.
You'll definitely notice Davis
Um,
is kind of checking you out, but you don't seem fully shook, so he's just like, let him do his thing.
I'll look super deep in thought, a
Yeah.
little frustrated with it.
so, um, with that, Karos will start walking over to where 14 is, and so next room, and 14 just smiles and starts walking forward into the next room
Oh
through
shit,
the,
there's more? Okay.
actually going through the little doorway, the archway that is where the two styles mesh. If you So as the light begins to kind of illuminate and cascade through, this chamber much smaller in comparison to this 80 by like 200-foot room. Um, this 30-foot chamber or so. Uh, you, it in front of you is three like murals essentially. Um, However, there are murals of stone and colored stones that are like essentially put in and they depict what it is. So it's a lot of intricate stonework of different colored stones that are like painstakingly placed in to give some sort of expression or some sort of visual. But there are distinctly three um, parts. One of it, the color the colors that are used tend to be on the red, the brown, um, the white, and a little bit of black. It seems to depict peoples and persons, and you see like you see hands, and faces, and um, on one of the ones you see um, I guess is anyone proficient in medicine? Someone is, I think.
Ben is.
I
Woohoo!
am as well.
You guys roll me medicine checks.
Yeah.
18.
29 for Big Bird.
Right. Um, yeah, you see, Rock, you see like almost like a smushed or like a flattened expression of like what a person might be, because you can kind of make out it's like two legs, two arms, and like a head, but it's like slashed. Ben will look at that expression, and it looks like it's an expression of like a not to be like gruesome, but like a filleted like it's their skin, like it shows like a person like spread out like a that. And with a 29, he gets that this kind of represents the concept, and he's aware with it because of something that he had to deal with, like a flesh. This is the flesh. The next one in the middle um, is much more on the hues, colors of teals, blues, green. It has like a wispy design. In fact, you do see like some of the stonework that is, it almost like represents like almost like little circular objects, like circular um, entities kind of swimming and swooshing through the wall. If anyone is proficient in religion, then they can give me a check.
Also been 14.
14.
Oh
And
no,
Al,
Al,
you
you
check
rolled double
all.
digits.
The DC is a little bit low. Okay, 15, good.
I was talking muted the whole time.
Yeah,
I was
gotcha, gotcha.
I'm a license. Ah, okay, there we go. Flip the notes.
And then anyone else for religion? Going once, going
You
twice.
said for religion?
Yeah.
So this middle one is like blues, greens, teals. It's kind of swoopy uh, style. It almost looks like there's like wispy elements to it.
I'm not a very religious bunny, I have to admit.
Al, you focus in on like the wisps that they actually do look kind of like those flowing wisps that you had encountered once before. And if that is flesh, you've heard of the soul. So likely this depicts the soul. So we got flesh, soul, and the third one next to it. Um, the third one next to it comes in very stark contrasting when they choose the colors. You have your yellows and oranges and whites contrasted heavily by your deep purples, your blacks, and maybe a little bit of like red. And it's almost like a split on an angle where you have just a fissure coming through by the wall and then just a cascading of the colors. And it just seems to like go in a gradation kind of going through the color spectrums, respecting those two colors. Um, if
You mentioned a fracture. Is that does it seem intentional,
it is
or is it like
intentional,
okay, it's not like part
I
of the
will give
ruins
you that
decaying? Okay.
it is intentional.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
uh, all of you can actually do this check, and it would be if you're a spellcaster, it would be your spellcasting. Uh, so if you're a charisma caster, you would use charisma. If you're um, intelligence, use intelligence. If you are a rogue, you can use dexterity. If you are a fighter, Powers is a strength-based fighter, he can use strength. Uh, Davis, you can use your charisma as that power that fuels your warlord features.
Sure.
Essentially doing like a character check.
Yeah.
But all of you are able to.
Sorry, you
Oh
said
shit.
this cars for strength?
Cars would be strength or intelligence. It depends because he uses strength to do his physical stuff or intelligence to
Hmm.
use his
Assuming we're
bonus
proficient
based.
using proficiency as well.
Yeah. You guys are proficient in you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would hope you are proficient
Damn, you
in
got a nat 20? Holy shit.
Oh yeah, wait.
cool.
I forgot. I've been out of practice.
Yeah, you're out of there. So Davis, you pick up on it right away, and you don't understand it, but I will give everyone else a chance to also roll. Okay.
What would I roll? I'm sorry.
So you can use dexterity because you're a rogue,
That's
or you can use
yeah.
intelligence because you're a scout, whichever one you feel. Because when you look at it, you see
Oh my
this
gosh.
expression of color and you see this fracture, and for all of you, it just kind of resonates. You don't know what you're looking at, but you're like, it's beautiful. And there's like a draw, you're like being like kind of drawn to this portion of it and to its mystery. Okay, so those of you above 20, but Davis, you'll just say it out loud. this represents the third element. This represents the potential. Like everyone has potential, potential to grow, potential to um, be warm and caring, or cool, dark, to live their life exposed to the light or staying to the shadows. This is just a interpretation of what one's potential could be. It is limitless in the fact that it comes from one fissure of a crack and it continues to spread out, however it's restrained to this, the mural portion. But you can see that it would potentially go on forever. It is one's potential. So these three murals next to it represent the flesh, the soul, and the concept of the potential, which those of you that have been in the maze have heard for before. And Davis, with a natural 20, um, I'll give you a little bit of extra.
Okay.
You, and this is just pulling back on your experiences and the few interactions that you've had with these concepts. And something comes from the Matrices 13 as well. Um,
Okay.
Flesh has been mentioned multiple times, and you've seen what flesh can be. And flesh represents essentially like the physical embodiment, the flesh that someone has. Life has flesh. Life is existent here. Life in the flesh remains here. You've been to the maze, and the maze is for the souls. You guys were not supposed to be there, but you had that warding spell upon you from entering through the door, which prevented you from being detected and shunted out until the very end. And the soul is you. The soul is your experiences. The soul is everything that you have encountered in your time in existence. And potential is a weird one. Potential is this I you don't know how to grasp it. The body and the soul are pretty easy, but potential is this third outlier that not many people bring up or many people even seem to understand. But it's followed you along this entire time. You've heard this word used before. You've heard that um, in in the Necromancer's Tower, you were exposed to it for the very first time, and it never hit you or never settled in of its importance. But when someone that is mortal dies, or as they understand it, these three things are left behind. The flesh is easy. You understand it. It's a body. It's a corpse. It's what is left behind. You guys bury it or burn it or send it off to sea or whatever. The soul, a lot of different groups pray for it or wish it well, and it, from now, from what you understand, goes to the maze and tries to navigate the maze. But what the frick is potential? Potential is you. Potential is what you had. Potential is everything that you could be, would be, will be. But what happens to that potential when you are your life is cut short? That's this question that just crops up in your mind.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would,
And that's what you get from the module 20.
because well, you said that like literally, I would just say like, oh yeah, it's potential. I would even then go so far as to even say a little bit, probably slightly paraphrased of what you said. Not so much talking about like what happens with this other stuff. It's just more of just like, yeah, it's the potential. It's like the third thing in all of the, it's they always talk. We've listen. I don't say these things, but it's always flesh, soul, and potential. That's so it's clearly that's what it is. That's what that is. Like this 30 seconds of like weirdly lucid and clear
Yeah,
direction from Davis, and then he kind of just stares off into the distance, like kind of blankly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and the one other thing that I think was exposed to you guys, and if not, then well, I'm giving you a little bit of a backstory gem, is I think you guys ran into this in Necromancer's Tower. I think. God, I would have to try to remember, but what can I think there was a portion where you saw that she was investigating what one can do with potential,
Oh, okay. I believe it.
as if it was a conceptual thing. Like if the flesh is a thing, the soul is a thing, the potential is a thing. What could you do with potential? And Davis, you're kind of drawn to that fissure, I'll say.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me your choice of an investigation or a perception check.
I'll probably go perception
That's fine.
since I got advantage today.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it went from a 9 to a 20. Or no, sorry, 23.
23. Okay, nice. Um, so yes, as Al had asked, is that fissure intentionally part of the design? Yes, it actually is. Um, and Davis, as you kind of get, as you're looking through it and as you're kind of discussing with the group, you get kind of drawn to the potential side. And you kind of stand right in front of it, and the fissure is runs the expanse almost like at a diagonal through. It's not a straight cut, but
Ah,
it follows the flow. But there is a central portion within the center of the wall, within kind of within reach of like you, and you kind of see and you peer into it, and there is like a place that you can place your hand into it. It's wide enough for like your hand to fit in. So there is something. I don't know.
oh yeah, no, like I'm not like eagerly doing it, but I'll probably like as I'm just sort of staring at it, letting it all wash over me, I'll probably like my hand would drift that way.
So as your hand kind of drifts in, your hand kind of nestles in, and you kind of feel back there, and there's something you can like with your fingers. You can kind of like you can put your fingers around and kind of pull on just a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So for anybody, if anybody's watching this little movie that Davis is undergoing, this like moment he's having, uh, yeah, like you'd see him almost like kind of snap back into himself for a second, be like, whoa, there's yeah, and then yeah, I'm grabbing for it and trying to wrestle it out of there.
So as you kind of wrestle, and you then Cielo, your keen ears hear this click, and Davis, you feel this clicking, like when you hear a click, but you actually feel a click. You hear and feel it, and then
Uh,
you there's a little bit of just like a little tremor, like a localized small, not nothing to knock you over, just like a little.
What were you saying, CLM?
Uh,
uh,
yeah. I think you just hit something.
yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know what this is. I'm trying to grab. I'm trying to pull it out of here. So does it feel like it's not giving? Like, I mean, without like
it felt like what would give gave, and you
ah.
clicked something into
Okay, so
place.
I can't like pull it out of there. It's just I loosened whatever was
No.
there, and it's just this.
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing to like pull through and out. Just that was it.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
exactly. And as you hear the clicking, you hear the rumbling. Now, all of you, Davis, you start to see like it starts to get a little bit brighter where you're at. In all the stones, there was, it was stone, but there was also, now that you actually can kind of see it, and like, there's a layer of dust. But now that you guys didn't sweep or you didn't take Al's little brush and started dusting, to kind of get this dust off, there are more like gem-like stones within this depictions. The 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 cascade of light that is the potential within the yellows and the purples. They're actually some of them are more like gems, and they begin to long legated carved gems. The light begins to kind of shine through. The wisps on the soul panel begins to kind of shine through. The white that kind of represents like bone and sinew on the flesh begins to kind of shine through. And all these lights begin to shine through and kind of cascade out and wash over you. And as it washes over you, your shadows begin to extend back into the room behind you. And as the shadows begin to extend back, they cast over the maze, and the maze begins to retract. Like it begins to kind of, the roots begin to sink in, retract, and you see that it begins to alleviate and they start to recess down
Like
as you've
unbinding
explored and
almost.
like an unbinding almost.
Oh, okay.
But they're still holding onto the bones. Like the bones are still being held, but all these roots are being like pulled in and pulled off to the side, starting to expose the central gap. And you start to see this opening begin to make its way through the center, like as like everything is being pulled to the sides. And what was this 60-foot area of bone and root be becomes to become cleared out, and there's a central panel there, and it looks like there's, well, you'd have to get in there to kind of see, but it clears out, and there's like a floor to the maze that is now just, there is no maze anymore. It is just an open place. But you see all these roots and all these bones just get pushed and pulled and tugged along the side, and it just starts to like creep up the sides of the wall. But now the maze is exposed to just be an open space as a as your shadows casted over it.
Um, oops. Or good.
No, 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 not oops. That was cool. That was very,
Oh,
very
okay.
cool. Very good.
Good.
What did you
Yeah.
You
do?
found the you found the way in. What do you mean, oops?
Oh, sure.
Very cool.
I
Stay
mean,
here.
unless we don't want to go in, but I don't know about you, but I want to go in.
Just um, we need shadows. So big guys, stay.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
need shadows?
I mean, there's our shadows casted over the maze and made them retract. I'm guessing it has something to do with light and shadow. I'm just guessing. Shadows. Cast shadow. I'm going to, and you see Opal begin to kind of slowly step back and step out of the room. The light, Davis and Karos and Ben, as you guys are just kind of standing there making sure to cast a shadow. Pew will stay there with you, and 14 will stay in there
Say
too.
14. She's
Like it,
one of the biggest.
yeah. So like, and it's not hot. It's not even bright. It's not like blinding light. It's just you see the light shining through, and it's beautiful because it's all these different colors, and like you see like there's strips of the purple light, there's strips of the gold light, there's little beams of the blue light, there's the green wispies are kind of also illuminating the white light from the bones. Like it's pretty. It's not terrifying. It's not scary. It's really pretty. Um, and Davis, you're just kind of, your hand doesn't have to stay in there. I don't know if
No.
you're keeping your
Yeah.
hand in
It's
there or
no.
not.
But
Yeah,
as soon as like when he was like, "Oops," he was like very kind of slowly and discreetly retracting it.
yeah, gotcha. Um, and you guys are not like, restrained or anything. You guys are free to move, but the light is kind of shining through. And you'll see, um, there is like little bits of light that get past you, but it is that main shadow. And those little bits of light that get past you, they seemingly, um, as they kind of hit this area in the room, they they do illuminate and give a contrast to the darkness that would be here, but they do illuminate this, I guess you would say, this tangled mass of root and bone that has moved on its own, essentially just clearing out a 60-foot circular space that was covered by this maze. And as Opal kind of approaches and Cielo, you kind of approach. I don't know who else is going there, but those of you that decide to kind of leave this room that's casting light, um, you essentially see, um, how do I want to explain this? Because like my notes are abstract, so I'm trying to think like the best way I can explain it. Um, you see, I guess you would see like the purpose of this place. You would see like the purpose of what the message is trying to be depicted and shared, and it's not one that I guess would be expected in a sense. Um, anyone that is oh shit, I need to check language. Anyone that's written in a lot of languages actually. So anyone that can speak Sylvan, Celestial, actually Maze Cant is on the list. Sylvan, Celestial, Maze Cant, uh, and of all languages, Khemri. So if you speak Goblinoid, but if you specifically speak Camry.
I think that's literally everybody except for Karos, because we almost all speak Maze Cant.
And then I guess Yellow speaks
I
something
got
different.
I got Base Camp Goblin and Sylvan.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, and Ben speaks
Yeah,
Celestial. I think it literally is everybody but Karos.
That might be, but that's what I'm saying. So it kind of works out. Yeah. So those of you that are exploring it, go ahead and just give me um honestly, I think it would be an investigation check, or it would be something, and you can kind of try to give me like what you're trying to pull at it. But the baseline check would be like an investigation. Try to understand what is being told.
Is this everybody or just those who are not staying put?
Those that are nothing. Apologies.
Oh, okay.
So, the only people that I mentioned that are most likely staying put is Davis, 14, Karos. Of
Is Ben or
I
no?
already
I don't know.
forgot. Davis, Ben is staying put.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was one more, but I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Rock. They didn't specifically say Rock. I remember.
Pew? No, he's not big.
No, it was
Rocks,
Pew.
Rock stay put? That's impossible.
Good point.
All right, so yeah, investigation check or some other check if you can kind of come up with a way that you could try to understand what is the message beneath the maze. 17? Okay.
Yeah.
Al 18? Okay. Cielo, your small crew, are you doing it? Here, roll for, oops, roll D20.
just
Yeah,
just
sorry, I
simply
was
roll 20 every
coughing.
time.
What am I rolling?
Investigation check, or
Oh
if you can
yeah.
come up with some other reason or some other type of check to make to try to ascertain some sort of grasp or fundamental understanding of what is beneath of the maze.
I can understand Sylvan, and I am proficient in investigation, and it's a natural 20 for a 33.
So like Alan Rock, you're looking at it and you're starting to try to like just read and comprehend the words. And that's where you're losing yourselves. You're focusing on what is written and not the message that it is trying to tell you. Cielo, you just like, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is pretty.
If you
And then you
thought I
kind of
was
like,
afraid of touching stuff back there, this stuff is just awesome.
and it's at first you're so disappointed by what you see in the center because it's just vast open space, right? Like the maze is retracted, the braze is. It was really cool seeing the roots just pull all the bones and the roots and all like up along the side and sprawling up the side of the wall. Not they cleared out this 60-foot circumference of an area. It's kind of neat, and it's just so plain. It's just flat, cut stone. But in the middle, there's just like this little statement, little like expressions and words, and what it reveals to you is um, the unformed maze is part of the binds where souls are caught and made to navigate. Souls, and it gives you the breakdown of the three. Flesh is what allows a mortal to exist on the mortal plane. That is your meat suit. So be blunt. It is your meat suit that allows you to exist here. Your soul is you, and it is the recording of all of your experiences. Your soul is what experiences and it kind of makes a recording. I know it sounds very simple and basic, but it's literally it's why you have a soul. And because you're rolling natural 20, you remember when you remember being told and even kind of experiencing it when you kind of saw the visage of like of the Houndmaster of a fiend of a something that doesn't have a soul. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel natural. Like you can kind of pick up on something that doesn't have a soul. because they don't have a mortal purpose. Maybe it sounds sad, but your purpose is to record information, to record experiences, to gather data on what it is out there, what it is to exist. And then when you die, your soul goes through the maze. And this is again because you have a natural 20, I'm giving you all this detail.
Uh,
Your soul goes through the maze, and all those experiences get written down, get added to the archives. So all the knowledge that anyone has ever existed is in the maze. For who?
ah.
That's what it is. So your flesh allows you to be here. Your soul is what gathers the information. And your potential is the energy that you are allotted to exist. Everyone has a set amount of potential.
The
That
flesh is
is,
the vehicle of the soul.
and the potential is the fuel of everything. So if you are given enough potential to live a natural life of 50 years and you die when you're 30, 20 years worth of potential is released. Where does it go? And that's where you're stuck. Where does that go? Where does that go?
Huh.
Where does that go?
I would have been like sounding this all out with my like I don't know. Phonetically, I'm just like thinking out loud what you're saying. Is that cool?
Perfectly fine. The
Yeah.
big thing to grab from this is also the unformed maze. It's hard for you to, because planescaping is not something that anyone is in this current era is super familiar with. It's, it's either super long ago people were familiar with it, and now there's just some sort of like understood knowledges. You guys have jumped to a demi-plane and been to another, set of reality. But whereas what you can understand, the unformed maze is the binds, is part of the Fey bind that interacts and has some sort of unity or some breach or some sort of pact into the afterlife. So to think of like the unformed maze as like a net that catches the soul isn't too far out there. To think of it as like a processing plant that processes the souls, gathers the information, scribes down the information, that's not too far of a um, interpretation either. But there you have it. Have fun with that information.
So we have a soul and potential.
Yeah.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
Whoa.
Whoa. He used a word that no one knows what it is. What is a mitochondria? He's speaking in
They're
tongues.
materia
I heard of
chondria
him.
in this
I just
universe.
know it's the best.
A natural 20s gets you way too much information. Have fun with that.
What am I supposed to do with all this information? Write a textbook?
Yeah.
Maybe I will. Everybody will know me.
Yeah, it's Professor Cielo, yes.
Now that I know this stuff, I can become an information broker.
Ooh.
And the other thing that when you read the message and all that, um, the only other thing that you notice is there is like a shallowed out kind of groove um, near where all this messaging is, and it looks like it was maybe holding something at some point, but the thing is not there. I'd say it's probably about 4 feet across the groove, maybe about a foot deep. Like I said, relatively shallow for the size. Uh, is everything? This is Opal. You just said a lot of things. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. That is a lot, but it just kind of came to me. So sometimes it just no more than I think, and it just kind of came out that way. Um, Everything's fine, and it's not wrong. Pretty sure about that. Are those people still standing over there with the shadows and the?
Haro says, Yeah. Are
If
we
they
done?
move, do we get stuck in here?
Um, do you want to find out?
Not really. Well, kinda, but not really.
He kind of ducks just a little bit. He like starts ducking. Nothing happens. At least not
Oh,
yet.
thank goodness.
Mhm. So, um, well, that's a lot. I have questions, but maybe we don't want to stand in the middle of this asking those questions.
Probably not here. Well, in a place better suited for conversation.
Okay. And Opal begins to kind of walk out and kind of climb through. It's not much of a climb, but since she's small like you, it's a little bit of a
I'd
step down.
follow. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd follow Opal.
She climbs out of the exposed, flattened area that was covered by the maze, and then Opal says, "All right, we're all out. I guess you guys can move out of the light." E. And as you guys do, at least Few and 14 listen to Opal and they step out, and then Paros and
Sure, sure.
Ben and Light begins to bask out, and then the roots and the bones begin to just crawl and slide back down the walls and begin to fill the place,
Well, that's
covering
fucking
up
cool.
everything. And you have a depiction of the maze once again. And then you hear that clicking sound as if something was to release, and the lights begin to dim and fade out.
Slowly back
Um,
away from it.
yeah, who's in the room and who's in the little room and who's in the big room? Just so I can kind of draw my mental space of where everybody is.
I
So you have the
think I
little.
followed Opal out.
So you're still in the big room. Okay, so you're still in the big room with the maze. So
I'm in the
Yellow
middle.
and Opal are in the maze room. Karos and that. I don't know where Al and Rock would have been there with Al exploring. So
Small crew,
something
big crew.
like small crew, big crew. Okay.
Nice.
Mm. So as the uh the guys that are in the maze
Or
room.
is it okay? Okay. I was gonna ask if it's big group, little group,
it
main room,
is
It is
actually.
but
actually. It is.
the
It is actually. Yeah, it
maze
is.
rooms are better for that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good call.
Maze room and picture room, right? Um,
Mhm.
those of you in the maze room, you'll see that now that uh the lights from the walls have faded, there is a where the archway is and its two styles kind of mesh together. There was like this central kind of ovoid shape, and now that has begun to kind of illuminate and give off the light. And again, it's dusted over, so it's like very little bits of lights are coming through, but some light begins to kind of mask out, uh, and it starts to kind of cascade through. Um, Not much, but it is starting to kind of spread out, kind of mask all the sides of the walls and all that with this greenish light. Alan Rock, can you guys give me a history check? Excuse me. Yeah, gotcha. See ya.
What?
Oh,
Cool.
I wrote this book.
When I give you plenty of rolls, you guys get your natural 20s in, which I'm happy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. CJ, if you're able to roll a history check if you want to, you do not have to.
Sorry, what kind of check?
History. As you're
History.
seeing, okay, this ovoid shape just kind of in the archway begins to kind of glow. Both of you, very nicely done. The light reminds you of the color of the light that was at the top of the Necromancer's Tower. And as it begins to kind of cast out, it is coming out of this like ovoid like shape. You see that the ovoid shape begins to kind of fracture and crack, and begins to kind of like fall apart, and little pieces. And those of you that are in the small room begin to kind of hear the sounds of like splitting rock or something, and you see little bits of rock begin to just kind of fall down from above you, like in the other side of the archway. So you guys are safe, but just little bits of rock, like little shales of rock, begin to fall down. And as it starts to fall apart, you start to see more and more light begin to bask in this room.
Doesn't feel safe. Should we get out of here, guys?
Well,
I don't know.
Ciela's not there.
Opal
Ciela's
will,
not here.
yeah, so it's Opal will be like, that's a pretty color.
Yeah, I don't like that color. I got bad memories associated.
Oh, okay. Into the little room or out of the big room? Where are we going?
Back to everyone else.
Okay. So you'll see Davis and Ben. You'll see Rock and Opal and the group. I'm assuming Al you follow, but I shouldn't move Al. Yep. Begin to step forward with you, kind of walking as some of the little shales of stone begin to kind of shower down. They kind of walk into the same small room as you.
Guys, this remind you of anything?
And now as like it begins to kind of fracture apart, and now those of you that are in the room, Davis, because you've experienced it, you see the light, and it begins to remind you. Well, actually, roll me the history check. Actually,
Yeah.
sorry,
History, okay. My favorite.
personal
Not
history.
bad, 14.
14. Because Rock says this reminds you, like look at it, and then it takes a moment. But then as the light begins to get brighter and brighter, and as more of the shell around this ovoid begins to fracture away, and more light begins to bask out, yeah, it's the same color as the light around the Necromancer's Tower when you guys were first there.
Yeah. You don't remember it, buddy?
No, I do. I was just thinking you did.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it.
No, wasn't a big fan of it then. Not a huge fan looking at it now.
Did anybody touch anything?
No. In here? No. Well, I didn't. Did you guys? I didn't touch. No. I mean, except for the one time, which you guys saw. Which we said was good. So that was fine. But not since then.
Well, that was a good touch. Crazy. Yeah, I don't. Also, is Al? Did Al
I
stay
don't know.
behind?
Al hasn't said if he stayed behind or stayed in the room, so I left him there. He might be double muted, Al.
Yeah, it might be. Or it might be just not here.
Hello?
There you are.
Hello.
Yeah, there you
I
are.
got undid, redid. I don't know. Okay.
Oh boy.
I would have followed.
So now that everyone's crammed into this, well, it's crammed. It's a 30 by, it's a 30-foot wide room. So you guys are
Blocking the
about this.
doorway.
Yeah. You
Purposely.
just step in, and you just kind of look, and as the light kind of eventually, it stops, like the dust begins to stop falling, the little shales of stone begin to stop falling, and the light in the room becomes relatively prominent, and it's cascading, and you can now see all the extent of the scribery and the detailing in the walls. You can see the maze for all the details that it is proper now that it's re-coalesced and re-taken up the center of the room. And the light becomes very bright to the point of where like you're not necessarily like closing your eyes and squinting, but it's a fully illuminated room. And you'll see that part of the maze will begin to spiral and twist upwards just a bit, and almost leave like mm, a like a nest of bones and roots, kind of like I would say about a foot or two above the rest of the maze. And then you see what begins to kind of apparate and kind of like just kind of start to like come in and come out and come in and come out and come in, and the amount of time that it stays in existence is longer and longer, and then this pale green with some like teal striations on it, ovoid shape, looks like a big egg, apparates within this little bone nest, and the light subsides.
Did you say a big egg?
Egg, EGG.
Don't see that every day.
Ooh,
Nope.
all right. Cool.
Anybody hungry?
I don't know if that's a.
Anyone wants to make an omelet?
Uh, I don't know.
I can tell you right now, I'm not touching it. Every time I touch it, it ends up being something that makes me something, and I'm not touching anything anymore.
No, that's a spooky egg. I don't trust it either.
Rock has been traumatized by the eggs.
Eggs.
Not another galaxy egg. There's an ancient in there. Remember last time?
Right. Another Chandra, you think?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's true. Forgot about that. We're gonna make another baby.
Uh, you'll see like 14 kind of has her head kind of cocked to the side and kind of peering at it. Looks and says, "Why egg? What does this mean?"
That's an excellent question. Why egg? I'll get closer to it, but I'm not gonna.
Well, it is in the center of the maze, right? So it's like 60-foot area and just kind of raised up in the center. But yeah, you can step into the room. The light has, subsided. So now the only lights that are actually illuminating in here are the light spell that uh, Ben and Opal had casted on their shield and on their staff.
I shall light spell pebble, carrying a pebble,
Okay. Except one of the little
and
pebbles.
yeah, and then have her get close to it.
Okay.
And I'll bamf in and I
Okay.
don't know, investigate an egg.
Sure. Go ahead and give me an investigation check. As Pebble swoops by it, is she landing
wait.
near it, or is she just?
She's just kind of like fluttering around it.
Okay, got it.
I use her investigation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh, she can't investigate. She's got perception.
I mean, she if it doesn't have it, then it's just a flat roll, whatever the stat would be. She's not considered proficient in it,
Okay.
and you can always portent her check as well. Don't forget.
True. 15.
Not too bad. So yes, it is an egg. It is a large egg. Not an egg that you would recognize. You haven't come across an egg like this. It seems to have a more of the leathery kind of exterior. Because you are proficient in nature, I think. Are you? I don't remember.
I am, yes.
Yeah, so you would know not necessarily like a bird egg.
It's a dragon.
Could be. It certainly could be. Um, yeah. And it wobbles a little bit as Pebble swoops by it a few times. Kind of gives a little wobble.
I'll let her land on it.
Yeah, Pebble lands on it.
She
It
can
wobbles
peck
a
at
little
it a
bit
little.
under it. Okay, she pecks at it. It doesn't, like, when she pecks at it, it doesn't seem to react and wobble. It just seems to kind of wobble on its own just every once in a while. Wobble, wobble.
Is it warm?
You unfortunately, sense of touch is not conveyed through the link.
Oh, okay.
It's audio and visual.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's definitely an Alabama. It's definitely an egg. And pebbles on it, and seems fine. But I'm not touching it. Someone else can be the super something or other in some other part of the world. I'll look at Ben. Hey, Ben, want to grab an egg?
Oh gosh, does Ben want to grab an egg?
You're gonna roll.
Sure, let's just say he does.
Okay.
Ben
So,
finally
He
got
wants
tired
I
of
think he
the-
wants answers, right? At the very least, you know.
sure. So is he going to navigate the maze and just crush it underfoot, or how's he going to get to the egg? Because it's in the center
Oh,
of
that's
the.
true.
Yeah.
Can Hey Al, is where's Lulu?
He kind of frowns. I haven't had time.
The Fruit Loop
I was
dimension.
trying to bring it
Okay.
back from the Fruit Loop dimension.
I wasn't sure if she was Fruit Loops or not.
Why'd you have to bring it up?
Uh,
Sorry.
uh, uh, Opal will say, "Wait, we want. Uh, you guys are crazy." And she takes the book, looks at the egg, looks at the book, looks at the egg, puts her hand on the book, and where she was excited to dig, this time she's very hesitant, and she stretches the hand out of the book and floats it on
Oh,
over
yeah.
there. Looks at you, is like, "Are we really doing this?" Okay.
And what are we here for
Grabs
if
the
not
egg.
to figure out what the heck this is all about?
She grabs the egg and then just begins to float Bigby's hand back to you guys. It's a big egg. Like, it's I guess it would be 2 feet tall. Yeah,
Well,
maybe about 2 feet tall of an ovoid egg. Brings it over, and she just puts the hand, like holding the egg, down on the ground, and then just kind of tilts the egg because it's not gonna sit naturally up. She kind of rolls it down and then moves the hand. It's kind of floating there for a few more seconds over it, and it just kind of wobbles a few times. Okay, now what?
I gotta check something first before I figure out what Ben's gonna do.
Sure.
Regarding the calendar. Let's see. Today is 32nd of Everly. Oh, no, it hasn't been long enough. Never mind.
No, it's not divine integration time.
Nope, not
But
for
yeah,
another
let me make sure
4
that I
more
have
days
it
or so.
marked correctly. Let me make sure the calendar is marked correctly.
Yeah, I think we're the 32nd. I just had it up.
30 seconds sounds right. Yeah. I have not marked it correctly. Alright, now it is marked correctly. Second. Everly. 30 seconds.
I
Alright.
try and update it every when I upload every episode.
Yeah. I try to be good about it too.
Paul.
Oh, we're not gonna do a break. We're probably gonna end pretty soon. I'm still feeling kind of sluggish. That's why I haven't asked for a break, Al. So don't worry.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, me too,
Yeah.
though. Me too, though.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You, buddy.
Yeah. So the egg is before you.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if he's got any like tricks up his sleeve that would make it a little bit anything cute.
wobbles again. If
Looking at like his spell list and inventory and stuff like that. What is his retribution prayer bead? What is like what is it?
it's a radiant hellish rebuke
Oh,
that he
okay.
can use a prayer bead for.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, heavenly rebuke.
So he's
Okay, yeah, I see. Okay.
yeah.
Wait, so he's got that's weird. Well, no, he's got a prayer bead heavenly rebuke, and then he's got a prayer bead retribution. They're two different items.
Oh yeah, one. Then the other one is like he could do like a pseudo smite.
Ah, yeah, I see it.
Uh,
Okay, yes.
yeah, I think it's like a dazing smite or something if you hit somebody.
It is a dazing smite. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, yep.
And I don't know what Librum Redemptius is, but I'm guessing it's a
Librum
book.
Redemptius is the book that he found inside the shield when he was first pulling stuff out.
Oh. Okay, so enough faffing about with his inventory and all that other stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
he'll just examine it. So is it just like sitting on the ground there now?
Yeah, so it's too big to sit upright, right?
Yeah.
So it's like an ovoid egg shape. It's about 2 feet from tip to butt, and it's laying on its side.
So
And every once in a while, like every 30 seconds to a minute, it'll just kind of wobble just a
really?
little bit.
Okay, I thought you were
Yeah.
I thought you were kind of joking.
No, it's wobbling.
Oh wow. Okay, so yep, Ben will guidance himself and then inspect it. Take a look, see if he can figure out like maybe what's inside or like just like through touch, through listening, like all that stuff.
Sure. So like a medicine check on the egg, or what do you think?
Medicine, if you'll allow it. I'm sure the DC. Yeah, the DC probably be a little bit different.
Medicine's fine.
Okay. Sure, we'll do that. And
Based on your
guidance.
description.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, 4 on the guidance, 9 on the die, so 23 total.
9 on the dot, 23 total.
I mean, he has plus 10, so.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just funny. So yes, the egg is warm. The egg is wobbling. There's there's definitely something inside.
That seems alive or
Alive or in
animated in some way.
the
Or...
semblance. Yes, exactly. Unfortunately the membrane of the egg is too thick to be able to like kind of see inside of it. Ben tries to put like a light kind of to kind of see if he can see something inside. There's a little bit of like a shadow in there, but it's like more blurred. It's kind of hard to make out what it is in there. The egg does give him a reptilian vibe.
Okay.
The based on just like the leathery texture of it.
It's Gojira.
Let's do this. Give me a insight check for Ben.
Okay. Can of guidance? Is it an active thing?
Sure.
Okay. So
Sure,
guidance,
right?
he'll guidance
That's
then.
fine. See if
To,
you
to like
recall
discern
something.
the intent of whatever's in there, kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be his insight is. It is a 33 total with a natural 20.
Great. Really? Okay. Well, it's not. It's not. Oh shit! You guys summoned another guardian. It's another Jabberwocky egg,
Oh
and it
shit!
is growing fast. It is growing fast, and that is why when he banished it, it didn't go back to the Fae. It went back.
So is it this egg? Is it this? Is it that Jabberwock that we? No.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's another one.
Okay.
But it's a Jabberwocky egg. And I think that's where we'll call it because it's 11:30 and people are tired. And that's a good little revelation.
Ooh.